Who are you? A guide to understanding yourself better. What if I told you that most people go through life never truly knowing who they are? They wake up, go to work, come home, scroll through their phones, and repeat this cycle endlessly, never questioning if the person they are is the person they were meant to be. But have you ever stopped and asked yourself, who am I, really? Not just your name, your job, or the roles you play, but the real you beneath it all. And here's the thing, most of us think we know ourselves, but then we realize we've been shaped more by the world's expectations than our own truth. But today that changes. By the end of this talk, you'll not only have a clearer picture of who you truly are, but you'll walk away with actionable steps to embrace your authentic self, unlock your potential, and live a more fulfilled life. So let's dive deep. 1. The identity illusion. Are you really you? Let's start with a fundamental truth. Most of us are carrying an identity that wasn't chosen by us. From the moment we're born, society starts molding us, telling us what we should do, who we should be, and what success should look like. Our parents, teachers, friends, even social media, each plays a role in constructing an identity for us. We absorb expectations without questioning them. Over time, we become conditioned to fit into a mold that was never truly ours. But here's the million-dollar question. Is this identity really yours? Did you choose your career, or did expectations choose it for you? Do your values reflect what you truly believe, or were they inherited? Are your dreams really your dreams, or did you adopt them because they seemed right? As James Clear states in Atomic Habits, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. This means that the choices we make daily either reinforce an identity handed to us by others or build the one we truly desire. If you don't intentionally shape your identity, someone else will do it for you. But how do we even begin to reclaim our identity? The answer lies in deconstructing the layers that have been imposed upon us. It requires deep introspection and courage to step outside of societal expectations. Philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre argued that man is nothing else but what he makes of himself. This perspective reinforces the idea that identity is not something assigned to us, but something we actively create. We are not bound by the labels society gives us. We have the power to redefine ourselves at any moment. In a similar vein, motivational speaker Jim Rohn once said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." If we surround ourselves with people who reinforce an identity that isn't truly ours, we risk becoming a reflection of external influences, rather than our authentic selves. Recognizing this pattern is key to breaking free from inherited identities and beginning the journey of self-discovery. Psychologist Carl Rogers, in On Becoming a Person, wrote, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." His research suggests that true personal growth happens only when we drop the false identity we carry and embrace our authentic selves. Self-acceptance is the gateway to transformation. The moment we stop trying to fit into an imposed identity, we open ourselves to the possibility of genuine change. Neuroscience also supports this idea. Studies show that our brains are highly adaptable through neuroplasticity. When we make conscious efforts to change our thought patterns and challenge ingrained beliefs, we literally rewire our brains. This means that our identity is never fixed. We have the ability to shape it at any time. The first step in understanding yourself starts with questioning what you've accepted as truth, and the next step, unlearning what isn't really you. 2. The power of self-reflection. Digging beneath the surface. Think about this. How often do you sit in silence, away from distractions, and just reflect on who you are and what you truly want? For most people, the answer is almost never. But real self-discovery happens in stillness. When you remove the noise, you can hear your inner voice. In Thinking Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman explains how our minds operate in 2 systems. One that is fast, intuitive, and emotional, and another that is slow, deliberate, and logical. When we take time for self-reflection, we engage the slower system, allowing us to think more deeply about who we truly are beyond immediate emotional responses. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that individuals who engage in regular self-reflection experience higher levels of self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and decision-making abilities. The study emphasized that people who frequently journal their thoughts or meditate tend to have a clearer sense of self compared to those who don't. But self-reflection isn't just about looking inward. It's also about challenging the narratives we tell ourselves. Often we cling to outdated beliefs that no longer serve us. By taking a step back and examining our thoughts objectively, we can break free from limiting mindsets and open ourselves to new possibilities. Author and speaker Robin Sharma once said, "Everything is created twice, first in the mind and then in reality." When we reflect deeply, we give ourselves permission to dream, to reimagine our potential, and to create a version of ourselves that aligns with our truest aspirations. Neuroscientist Antonio Damasio, in his book The Feeling of What Happens, argues that self-reflection is crucial for developing a sense of identity. According to Damasio, our brains construct our sense of self by integrating past experiences, emotions, and cognition, forming what he calls the autobiographical self. Without self-reflection, we risk being disconnected from our true selves, simply reacting to life rather than living with intention. I challenge you to ask yourself these questions. What moments in life have made me feel the most alive? What activities make me lose track of time? What values do I refuse to compromise on? If money didn't matter, what would I spend my life doing? What beliefs about myself are holding me back, and how can I change them? Reflection leads to clarity, and clarity leads to authenticity. The more we engage in self-reflection, the closer we come to understanding who we are at our core. It allows us to take ownership of our identity and make choices that are truly aligned with our values and aspirations. The journey to self-discovery begins with one simple step: making time to listen to yourself. 3. Facing your fears. The lies you tell yourself. You want to know why most people never truly know themselves? Fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of disappointing others. But here's a truth most never realize. Your fears are the biggest obstacles between you and your true self. As the philosopher Seneca once said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Many of the fears we experience are self-created illusions, projections of failure and rejection that never actually happen. By confronting these illusions, we reclaim our power. Motivational speaker Tony Robbins emphasizes, the only thing that's keeping you from getting what you want is the story you keep telling yourself about why you can't have it. These stories, our self-imposed limitations, are the barriers we must break through. But why do we hold on to these fears so tightly? Neuroscientists have discovered that fear is deeply wired into our brain's amygdala, a part responsible for processing emotions. When we repeatedly entertain fear-based thoughts, we reinforce those neural pathways, making fear feel more real than it actually is. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough. I'll fail if I try. People won't accept me if I change"? These thoughts aren't truths. They're mental barriers you've built over time. The reality? The moment you face your fears, you start unlocking your true potential. In her famous TED Talk, Brené Brown, an expert on vulnerability and courage, states, "You can choose courage or you can choose comfort, but you cannot have both. The growth you seek lies just beyond your comfort zone." Psychologist Carol Dweck, known for her research on mindset, argues that those with a growth mindset, people who believe they can improve through effort, are more resilient to fear. When we see challenges as opportunities to grow rather than threats, fear loses its grip on us. What if, instead of running from your fears, you leaned into them? What if the things you were most afraid of were actually the doorway to the real you? The truth is, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it. The moment you decide to face your fears head-on, you take the first step towards a more authentic, empowered version of yourself. So what fear is holding you back today? And what small step can you take to challenge it? 4. Finding your purpose. The key to authentic living. As former U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt once said, "Far better it is to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy much nor suffer much." Purpose-driven people embrace challenges rather than avoid them. Actor Denzel Washington states, "At the end of the day, it's not about what you have or even what you've accomplished. It's about who you've lifted up, who you've made better." A strong purpose is often connected to service, helping others grow. Simon Sinek, in his TED Talk Start With Why, explains, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. When we operate from a place of purpose, we inspire and lead others naturally. Living with purpose requires intentional action. Author Viktor Frankl, in Man's Search for Meaning, argues that purpose is not something we passively discover, but something we create by finding meaning in our struggles. When we align our daily actions with our deeper sense of purpose, life becomes more fulfilling. Entrepreneur Elon Musk once said, "When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor." Purpose often requires taking risks, stepping outside our comfort zones, and embracing uncertainty. It is through these challenges that we experience true growth. Let me ask you, what problem do you feel called to solve? What skills do you have that can create impact? What have people always come to you for help with? What would you do if success was guaranteed? If you had unlimited time and resources, what would you dedicate yourself to? When you connect with a purpose bigger than yourself, you stop feeling lost. You start living intentionally. You wake up with fire in your soul. Studies have shown that people with a strong sense of purpose tend to live longer, have better mental health, and experience greater levels of happiness. The Blue Zones research, which examined the habits of the world's longest-living populations, found that individuals who had a strong reason for being lived significantly healthier and longer lives. Because when you know why you're here, life takes on a whole new meaning. 5. Living authentically, embracing who you truly are. Here's where it all comes together. Knowing yourself isn't enough, you have to live as yourself. Authenticity isn't about being perfect, it's about being real. It's about showing up as you, even when it's uncomfortable. And that means saying no to things that don't align with your values. Setting boundaries to protect your energy. Speaking your truth, even if it shakes the room. Letting go of people who don't support your growth. Authenticity requires courage. It requires the willingness to risk disapproval in order to remain true to yourself. As Brené Brown states in The Gifts of Imperfection, authenticity is a collection of choices that we have to make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real. Living authentically also means embracing your imperfections. No one is perfect, and that's what makes each of us unique. Oprah Winfrey once said, "I had no idea that being your authentic self could make me as rich as I've become. If I had, I'd have done it a lot earlier." Success, true success, comes from embracing who you are without apology. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs the real you. So ask yourself, what's one change I can make today to live more authentically? Final thought. The journey never ends. Understanding yourself isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong journey. You'll evolve, you'll grow, you'll change. But the most important thing? Keep questioning, keep learning, keep becoming the best version of you. So, who are you, really? That's for you to discover. And I promise, the journey will be the most rewarding one of your life. Now go live as your true self. Thank you.